Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, back with another Sims Info and Thoughts video. So, we got another possible development on what sounds like is going to be the next generation of The Sims. Whether it's The Sims 5, or it's some edgy reboot that'll just be called The Sims, who knows? But, we got an interesting article from Sims Community. And it says EA CEO confirms a next generation Sims game. Might have both single player and multiplayer. So on top of previous possible clues, including career listings that make it sound like they're working on a new Sims game from scratch, as well as SimGuru Grant leaving Sims 4's development to work on some mysterious project, we have an official confirmation from Andrew Wilson, EA CEO, about the plans for the next generation Sims game. A few hours ago, there was an earnings call for the third quarter of fiscal year 2020, and Andrew Wilson was asked a question about if they were going to do something like The Sims Online again, and Andrew Wilson responded saying that they are continuously thinking about The Sims for a new generation, and that features from The Sims Online will become of that experience in the years to come. He also basically says that they will not forget The Sims' roots. So let's take a look at the actual transcript of what he said. So the question was, any thoughts on relaunching an online version of the franchise given its large popularity, referring to The Sims Online that was present up until 2008. And Andrew Wilson says, great question on The Sims. The Sims will be 20 next week. That Maxis team and the team that's been a part of Maxis over the years continue to deliver unbelievably innovative and creative content for a constantly growing Sims community globally. As we think about The Sims, again I referenced the motivations of why we play the games: inspiration, escape, social interaction, creation, self-improvement, competition. Typically, what The Sims has done is really focus on fulfilling the motivations and inspiration, escape, creation, self-improvement, and not necessarily focus as much as on social interaction and competition. But a few things are in fact true over the years. One is that the Sims community continues to grow, and with the broad of social platforms, continue to connect with each other and share what they do in and around the game they play. And we've seen that manifest in The Sims Online, which was a more social experience for us. And we're also seeing that the competition nature of The Sims is also rising, and we're seeing people compare and contrast. Not competition in a traditional sports sense, but how they create and what they create, and how they use their imaginations, and what they're able to build inside of these Sims universes. As Maxis continues to think about The Sims for a new generation, cross-platforms, and a cloud of a neighborhood world, you should imagine while we will always stay true to our inspiration, escape, creation, self-improvement motivations, that this notion of social interactions and competition, like the kind of things that were actually present in The Sims Online many years ago, that they will start to become a part of The Sims experience in the years to come. We are very excited. This is a game that really doesn't have any competition in its category for delivering and fulfilling these motivations for players, and we think of the tremendous growth opportunities for us for many years to come. This all both excites and scares me, because I am glad that they are thinking about the next generation of The Sims, because it would be eventually very difficult to evolve the Sims franchise if they just stayed on The Sims 4 forever. Imagine if we were still stuck with The Sims 1 in 2020, and we'd still have to buy pretty much any expansion pack besides Live Enlarge or House Party to just be able to leave the house. Like, no, I don't want to live in that sort of timeline. And I would not mind some online features, such as optional cloud saves, or the return of the gallery and improve it further. But I'm definitely in the camp of people who are very scared of what could happen to The Sims if they tried doing multiplayer again. Because from what I remember, The Sims Online was actually not all that well received. It's mainly nostalgia, where it's like, oh, it would be so cool to be able to do this again, but then in reality it's actually not all that great. Unfortunately, I did not get to play The Sims Online back in the day because I was very young, and well, yeah, I wasn't gonna make my parents try to pay monthly for me to just play an alternate version of The Sims that I already had. But yeah, I just don't hear great things about it that often apart from nostalgia. And then there was the very well-known disaster that was the launch of SimCity 2013, because it depended on an always online internet connection in order for it to be playable, but then at launch, those servers were not working properly, so the game was not playable at all for a while. Then by the time they implemented a fully offline single-player mode, the game had been out for about a year, and the damage was already done and people moved on, and SimCity is basically a dead franchise nowadays, apart from a mobile game. And I don't want that to happen to The Sims, and what's kinda crazy is that it very well could have, because The Sims 4 originally was going to be online multiplayer, always online, just like SimCity 2013, but because of the massive amount of backlash with SimCity, they were like, oh boy, well, we gotta take this all out. So I blame that mainly for the reason why Sims 4 had so much content that you would normally expect to be in the base game at launch was just not there, like pools and ghosts and toddlers and the repair service NPC and just so much other stuff. Though in the case of The Sims, I'm more concerned about the quality of the franchise going forward than whether we're not going to get any more games at all, because The Sims has been around pretty consistently for its whole lifespan. But then with SimCity, we had SimCity 4, which was, I think, the last very well-received SimCity game, and then we went a few years without any new SimCity game, and then SimCity Societies came along, and I know that was not very well received either. And then more years passed after that, and then we got SimCity 2013. So the SimCity franchise also had the issue of not being consistently active, and then they tried to justify bringing it back with the 2013 reboot, and then it was received very, very poorly. So as long as The Sims continue selling very well and making EA a lot of money, I don't think we're going to just stop at The Sims 4. We'll get The Sims 5, we'll get The Sims 6, 7, 8, etc. It'll just take longer, I think, for each one to come out, because then there will be, maybe, hopefully, a stronger support base from the very beginning with more complete features at launch, so you can actually support the game for a lot longer with there being less of a ceiling. I think of The Sims in a very similar way to video game consoles, where sure, you can do a lot with your current platform, but eventually you need to really start over because you're limited with the technology that you have, and maybe you want to do a different spin on things, like especially with Nintendo, where they would not be able to do exactly the same things with the Wii U as they can with the Switch right now. And in the case of The Sims, SimGuru Grant has confirmed multiple times that The Sims 4 will never get open worlds or even open districts because it's just not possible with The Sims 4's code architecture. So if we just stuck with The Sims 4 forever, then there's no possibility of open world or open districts coming back. I would love to see a Sims game with open districts, because that would be, I think, a very nice middle ground between The Sims 3 and The Sims 4, where you will have smaller, more contained worlds, but at least they could hopefully at least be bigger than The Sims 4's worlds, but not have as many problems as The Sims 3's open world did. And if they did put online multiplayer in The Sims 5, I'm not sure if they could even do open districts, because you would really have to account for performance when doing online multiplayer. So unless they do a separate spin-off like The Sims Online, I don't know how they could do it. One other big concern that I have is whether they might open a whole can of worms in terms of microtransactions if they take The Sims Online, because we all know how that turned out with Star Wars Battlefront 2. They got so much controversy that they ended up redoing all of that stuff. So I don't want all of that time to be wasted on The Sims 5 too. Sure, there is always the chance that they could get it right if they did it with The Sims again, but hopefully with that long-winded explanation in mind, if you don't agree with me, you can at least understand my perspective as to why I am very scared of the possibility of The Sims getting multiplayer again. With whatever the next version of The Sims may be, I have no need for gimmicks like online multiplayer or virtual reality or compatibility with 3D glasses or something like that. I just want a game that is decently complete from the beginning and is not missing Sony basic features that are usually there from the start, and have the best of The Sims 2 and The Sims 3, with hopefully a cartoony art style like The Sims 4. Though that's not to say that I don't want any brand new features, because I would like to see some things like gradual aging that could maybe even include preteens, and more dynamic social interactions, especially as Sims are moving near each other, like walking and holding hands, or playing catch as they're moving, and stuff like that. Maybe you can have it so that lots aren't restricted to a grid. You can just build lots anywhere you want on the world, and maybe the ability to layer clothing like you could in The Sims 2 for console, because we still don't have that on the PC side for some reason. Maybe even the feature that we also had in The Sims 2 for consoles, where you could actually control your Sims directly using a controller or maybe WASD to directly move your Sim around instead of just clicking go here. So I think there are still ways that they can evolve The Sims without having to resort to online play. And one other thing, hopefully we can get better looking seagulls and birds in general than what we've had for the past couple of games. And that wraps up another Sims Info and Thoughts video, so feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. And be sure to subscribe if you want to keep up with my latest content from The Sims, Sonic the Hedgehog, and more. So I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!